Magic the Gathering is a collectible card game created in 1993 by Richard Garfield. It's played everywhere from your kitchen table to massive arenas in some of the biggest cities on Earth for prize money and fame.
But how did it start? Hi, I'm Braden, and this is
Buddy.
And today we're going to discuss more of the social aspect of Magic the Gathering and how the two of us started talking because of it. So, just to jump right on into it, I've been playing Magic the Gathering forever.
Now, you're younger than me.
I am
So how
younger.
long is forever?
Well, like you said, it came out in 1993. I think around 2005 is when I first got my first introduction
Jeez.
to Magic the Gathering. My cousin, Tyler, he had a mono-white Soldier's deck, which I didn't know what it was at the time. I just found this deck in a sandwich bag in his room, and I was like, that's cool. Look at these fun cards. And I had no idea what it was, so introduction is very vaguely used there because
Sure.
I found out what Magic was, but I didn't know how to play it.
So you just found the cards.
Yeah.
And you didn't know how to use them. Mine was similar. It was, I don't even remember who this was. Someone pulled up.
My cousin, Tyler.
It's not impossible. Someone brought up Magic the Gathering online.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what it was. And they're trying to teach me Magic, but I'm playing against a real person, first time ever.
Oh.
And they're like, okay, now play your land.
What's a land?
What? And so it was 20 painful minutes, and they're like, okay, maybe
Maybe
yeah, thanks for introducing me to this card game.
That's crazy because if you know, Magic is such a complex game. I mean, just the beginning turn is 16 different steps you have to memorize.
Yeah.
Right. You have your untap, upkeep, draw, play a land. Only one land. You have your main phase. Then you have your attack step. Then you have your blocker step. Then you have your damage step. Then another main phase. Then you have an end step and a cleanup. It's just so much.
Yeah. Too much.
Yeah, you can't just jump into it. That's like saying, yeah, I jumped into League of Legends and I played my first game ever without learning anything about it. If you
Now
guys
last
know,
hit your creeps, but you want to.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
And then my cousin ended up moving, going somewhere, and I got his cards. And I was playing with them. I didn't know what they were, but on the back it says Magic the Gathering.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked into getting more Magic the Gathering cards. Now, back in 2008, I was in 6th grade because I'm a child.
Sure.
I say that I'm a child, but there might be somebody listening to this right now that's like, I was born in 2008.
We measure time against Magic
Each
the
other.
Gathering.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 15 years after, is that right? 15 years
15
after
years
Magic
after
the
it came
Gathering
out.
was out is when I actually got into it. I had a binder labeled Magic the Gathering 2008, and that had all of my trading cards in it.
Jeez.
And what I would do is I would go to my local game store and I would just open packs and get robbed by the community.
Yeah.
Right. And not knowing what I was doing, I ended up just getting a whole bunch of packs with my friends, and we would come to my house and we would just play on the floor. We'd get cards, and I don't know about you, I didn't know the rules all the way when I first learned. And I was like, oh, you play land on your turn.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd be like, I have 4 mana in my hand. I'm going to put it all down. So me and my friend John, we would play that way. We'd put all the land down and just play our cards completely wrong.
Yeah,
wildly
a little bit. It changes
off.
the game a lot.
Oh, yeah, a ton. Because, some of the most broken stuff in Magic is having fast mana.
Yep.
There's whole formats, whole game plans built around getting 2, 3, 4 mana turn 1 and 2. And I was just doing that because I didn't know what it was. And then I kind of graduated from there. And I remember I was actually today thinking about it. I drove past a Walmart I used to live by. And me and one of my friends walked from my house to the Walmart and got one of their fat packs, which I don't think they make anymore.
No, they've done a whole revolution, but 3 of them in a row because they don't work. Since I started playing,
Yeah.
Fat Packs was a thing, and it shortly ended after that.
Right. So fat packs was a little cardboard box you'd get that had, I don't even remember how many.
It was 9 boosters or something.
Yeah, 9 boosters, land, and a rule guide on how to play. Also came with a dice for the set you were getting it for.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that, and we just opened up all the cards and put them on a table. Every single one individual, we're playing a cube draft.
Okay.
Almost. And then me and my friend, we found what cards we liked, and we built a deck off of that, not knowing what cube was. And we just got our 60 cards. I did mono green Stompy because I found one card was a 7/7 for 7 mana. And I was like, this thing
Big
is
number.
insane. And we used that to build a deck. That was my whole idea. There's also, in that pack, I can't remember the name, but it was a legendary. It had its attack and toughness, its attack and defense to be star.
Mm-hmm.
And it was equal to, I think, the number of mycolids you had.
Okay.
So I tried to figure out what that meant and get as many as possible. And I never really used it. And I never ended up playing that deck besides that first time we built it. And then from there, I started going to card stores. There was a place called Dragon's Keep that was kind of near me.
Sure.
And almost every weekend I'd go down there and I'd play. And I think this is what we could say what really started my Magic the Gathering like addiction, right? Because I was kind of into it before, but I didn't know what I was doing. And I went to the local card shop, and I would join in limited environments. We would do draft, and I lost all the time, like because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, it's hard.
I had the fear that everybody has of not knowing how to attack.
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid to actually send my creatures into the battle. Like, I know I have a 4/4 and they have a 3/3, but like, what if they have a combat trick and then I die? And what ended up happening is, as I went to tournaments, the people that were regulars there, as well as the owners, would recognize I was there, and I didn't know what I was doing really. So they started to help me. And I remember one time I was doing a draft, and it was it was Shards of Alara, I think, and gold bordered cards had just been a thing.
Okay.
Right. So now you have the dual colors, and they had special. It might have been Conflux, but they had special rules for multicolored cards. If you have a multicolored card, this card gets a buff here, and this card gets a buff there.
Yep.
And I was playing, and I had the owner come over, and he kind of helped guide me through a game of like, oh, you should play this one here. You know, if you want, you could probably attack right here.
That's a good idea.
Right, but he didn't like push me to attack because I still didn't do it. I was like, I don't know, but he might have a combat trick. And the owner's like, well, I mean, if you want to, you could. It's not a bad idea necessarily. And I was like, okay, I'll just pass this turn, and then maybe next turn if it's still there, I'll,
It was a bad idea.
It was. I should have attacked because I think he killed me next turn.
Yeah.
But
you're like, oh, I'll try next turn if he still doesn't have something. He's like, there's no next turn. But okay.
Yeah.
Good job, little Braden.
Right. And then I started playing more. I started to get my first like win. I got out of that store. It was a great environment where when you win, you get packs. You could open the packs. You could then change those packs for more packs or specific cards, depending if you got a rare card. The store would buy it from you directly. And they really kind of fostered this environment of me being able to learn how to play, get some strategy down, and then really get addicted to it. So I was there every weekend playing games with them. And that's kind of my origin of Magic the Gathering. From there, I just was looking for people I could play with, because for the longest time, I would sit on my floor after school until like 3 a.m. playing 2 decks against myself.
The old school chessboard, and you're playing both sides, but it's Magic.
Right, and I'm trying to like be as, okay, if I was this player, what would I do if I didn't know what I had in my hand?
This is a bad idea, but I don't know that.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I actually think is really cool to be able to do. I think it helps you learn a lot.
Good exercise.
Of like,
for sure.
what to be looking for, especially if you're playing. I mean, it goes into a whole other thing. If you're playing like 2 standard decks, it teaches you what to look out for that the other standard deck could have.
Well, in a just very small tangent, a great way to get good is to play the other deck. Even if you have like your deck, you learn a lot more about how the other decks operate by playing them, which lets you deconstruct them basically as the opponent.
Right. You start to look for, what are the themes? What are the signs going here? But that's a whole other thing for a different video.
Yeah,
we can go over strategy and all that another time. I've talked a whole lot, though. How did you get into Magic the Gathering? Because you got into it a bit later than I did.
Much later. So aside from the small, like 20 minutes of torture where I had no idea what was going on, fast forward to, I think it was the last year of high school or maybe the year after. Mm-hmm. So this would be like 2012 era.
Okay.
I had a buddy from high school, but we were still friends after that. And
you do that?
Apparently. I mean, it didn't last forever. But he would go over to a whole group of friends' house because he liked playing Magic all the time.
Yeah.
Not at all like what you're talking about, though. His was all kind of loosey-goosey with the rules. You don't care what cards are from what sets, what format you're playing. It's just you have Magic cards, you put them together, and you play with whoever's at the table. So him and his whole group of friends would go every Sunday night, Magic night. They'd go over, and it's just like, there's just the long 6-foot-long tables.
Yeah, the huge plastic.
There's like 3 of those in one line. So it's just like it was a huge line of
Let's get this way a little.
Of table, and it would just be like anywhere, depending on how many people showed up, like 5 to 12 people that would show up and play, bringing whatever deck they built. Some just played the same thing every time. Some would try something new every time. And like I said, it was just no formats, no nothing. You just bring about 60 cards and you play.
Super casual.
Yeah, the most casual Magic format you can get. I didn't have any cards, but he's like, you might like this. Come play. So I show up, and just week after week, I'm slowly learning a little bit and playing with them. And I really liked it because it can be as fun and loosey-goosey as you want, like they were playing, or as strict and logical and strategic as you want, like playing at stores.
Right. Yeah, mine was like an in-between where I was playing loose and goosey because it was a specific type of format, but it was in a tournament setting where you would have a winner at the end of it, and you'd want to make those decisions to get there, which I never really did.
Yeah, well,
in the early games.
I mean, there was a winner at Magic Night. It was just more like, oh, you won. Next game? Shuffle up? Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't, you won. You get $30 store credit.
No, you get nothing.
Yeah.
Good job. You get a gold
you
star,
get
but not
move
really.
up in the seat ranking.
We can't. Oh, that would have been funny. But I liked it, and I wanted to be competitive at it. So I started trying to figure out, well, what if because I would go to the game store to pick up cards or whatever, and I would see people playing with their friends or a tournament going on, and I was like, I want to do that. So then I looked into, and there was like months and months in between this, and then I took a big break. I didn't actually start looking at this until I moved up here.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do the game store thing. So I found local game stores. I think the first one I went to was the Big Oasis.
Yeah.
And
downtown.
It was a huge game store. It was awesome. And this was when Shadows over Innistrad was coming out. And I wanted to learn how to draft because I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on a deck.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like the most expensive option, which it's not.
Right.
Drafting, it gets pretty expensive.
And it's so expensive. And really quickly, for people that are watching this one, you might already know what draft is. But the audience we've fostered before even doing this right here isn't necessarily a Magic the Gathering audience. And they might be watching. So a draft is when you get 3 booster packs, each having about 15 cards in them. You open up one booster pack. You thumb through it and you find a card that you enjoy. You take that card and you're going to put it face down and you're going to take your pack and you're going to pass it to your side. When you pass it to your side, somebody else passes one to you. You go through this and you pick cards until you have 15 cards from a pack, and you kind of build a game strategy from that. So you're building the idea of the deck one card at a time based off of the luck of the draw. Then you open up the next pack and you pass them the opposite direction. That way you can't, what's the best way to describe it? When you're doing this, you start to realize, oh, the person to my left that gives me one, they're always giving me these really strong green cards.
Or just, they're not passing me anything red.
Right. And then you have some strategy of what am I going to take? What am I going to give? Because sometimes you'll be like, oh, I really love this card, but I know the person to my left, they never passed me anything red. And this is a really good red card. So I might take this card so that they don't get that. Because at the end of the day, I want to win this.
Or you might just have to say, it doesn't work for me because having the one good red card is not good enough. Right. And you know that when it's their turn to pass cards to you, you're not getting anything past that.
Right. So
it's a really cool extra strategic level of building your deck to it. And it kind of levels the playing field as far as how much money you're willing to spend on a deck because you just buy the packs. Whereas in whatever format, it's not crazy to have like you sit down with all the cards you've opened over the years and you put together a deck, and then the guy across from you has a $2,000 deck that they've curated.
Right.
That's like perfectly honed to beat you on like turn 2. So
exactly. I had an experience where I got really heavy into the card game, like the game store competitive scene for a while. And my little brother and one of his friends were like, Brayden, we want to join you on this. My little brother's friend in particular, I'll call him Jimmy, started going to competitive events with me. But they were like 16, 17 years old. They had no money. And he said, Brayden, can you build me a deck? One that's going to be competitive? Because you're here all the time and doing well. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll build you a deck. So I built this mono green deck. So it's usually a lot cheaper. It's easy to go through. It's just make big creatures, hit them hard. So easy game plan and usually pretty cheap. And I probably spent like $40, $50 on the deck in total. And I was like willing to just buy the deck for him after I play tested and saw that it was working. And then like a week later, 3 of the cards I had in that deck became $50 cards. And I had 4 of them in 4 of each of them. So it went from like a $50 deck to a $400 or $500 deck like that.
It can do that. It's kind of like the stock market. It's funny, but
which is crazy because it really changed that. I started with a deck, and if I bring that in, somebody else can't have that same high quality like money, I guess, of a deck in a standard environment. Even though it was on accident on my time, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that part of it is, I think, more why, because at Magic Night, Sunday night, where everyone's bringing whatever, there was a guy who showed up with an actual just straight up competitive net decked modern deck.
Okay.
And we're all playing, and he's just destroying. I was like, this is not even fun, because you're playing a different game than us.
Especially modern back then was way different than modern now.
It was
modern back then was a 4-turn format.
It was Living End.
Living End. Oh my god! I don't know. Living End. Fun fact about Living End. I know the I know the creator of that deck.
Oh,
he lives here, in Utah.
Jeez.
Yeah, he brought it to a tournament. Tournament didn't do too well. The first time, refined it, brought it down, ended up doing really well, and then a pro picked it up for a modern one that he played against, and ended up winning a tournament.
That's really cool. Yeah. So I went to go start drafting. I learned a little bit over a couple years. Very fun, but you don't always have the money to go do a draft.
Yeah.
Every single week, sometimes multiple times. Sometimes you don't want to go to the store. And then I think my biggest problem was I get very annoyed when once I learned how to do it and everyone around me is taking like 5 times longer to make every single decision. It's just like I'm just waiting in a lobby to play I'm waiting my turn to play the game, but so that irritated me. And then we got introduced.
We did, yeah, because you moved down to this part of Utah, and my cousin was like, "Hey, we just moved down here, and Buddy plays Magic. He's looking for friends to play. I know you play Magic. Do you want to come down?" So I drove down there and played with some decks we had. I had at one point my modern deck that we played against. Do you remember that one? My mono black discard deck.
The only deck I specifically remember with you, I want to say it was a green white. I don't remember the theme of it. It was really strong.
Green white.
I feel like it was a green white deck. But no, I don't remember your very strong black. Oh, was it? No.
If I played it, I would have only played it once because it was a rude deck.
Yeah.
Right. It's one of those decks that, like I brought it to a tournament. I've won tournaments with it. But it's very mean to play in a casual.
I like the idea of, hey, I've got someone who I think you could be friends with. Do you want to come play Magic with them? Because they also kind of like Magic. You're like, okay, let me bring the deck that makes you hate me the most.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
I remember I brought a red-black, just like speed, go as fast as you can, standard deck. I brought the mono-black one. I might have brought a white-black-blue, which was control and made a lot of 1/1s. I don't remember. I don't know. It's been a while, but we played there, and then we went to go to the card store once that you had, and that was local. And I got hit on the way there, and couldn't go because somebody ran into my car, and then we didn't hang out for a while until I think that happened 2016, and then it was in 2017 when I moved into an apartment, and you had moved closer to this part of where we're living, and I did a tournament for a specific tournament style called Popper, which is what we play the most right now.
It's the cheapest.
Yeah. All cards are common out of the common, uncommon, rare, mythic, whatever. So they're really, really cheap. And I remember I brought you over to my apartment at the time. We played there, and it started the biggest bane of my existence as far as cards go.
Yeah.
I was playing a red-blue deck that was control and stop you from doing stuff and slowly whittle you down. By casting spells to deal 3 damage to you, or I had a card that you would tap it would deal 1 damage, but whenever you cast a spell, you untap it. So the idea was just kind of combo off a little bit each turn, do 3 to 5 damage, and then stop you from doing things.
Stop me from doing things, but by doing that, you get to do a little bit of damage over time.
Yeah. And you're playing a control deck as well, which
was black control.
Yeah. Kill all the creatures, and because there's no creatures, you can just attack me.
Yep. I play like 1 or 2 things and then kill everything that you try to do while I slowly hit you down.
Right. The problem is I didn't have a lot of creatures. Right. I have like in the deck, I had like 12 because it was mostly control. I want to get this creature on the board, and I want to keep it there.
Which, side note, again, for anyone who's not super familiar, you can have 4 copies of the same card in your deck. So when he has 12 creatures, it's really 3 creatures, just like 4 different...
Yeah.
Like 4 sets of them.
Yeah.
And he only needs like 1 on... Yeah.
1 on the board to just kind of start going to town. And I remember the bout that we had. I think you won a game, I won a game. We're in our third game, right?
Typically, they're played best of 3. Yep.
Yeah. And I have 7 cards. You have 7 cards. I think I had like 6 counter spells, and you had 5 or so kill spells.
So it was
so I played my creature, and I'm like, this is it. I'm gonna win. I need this because you're at like 1 or 2 health, and so was I.
Well, I think I was at like 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Okay.
Basically, if you got to untap with him, anything you play lets
would
you
have
win.
killed
It
you,
was
yeah.
to that point.
Right. And then you had a creature.
No,
on
I was at 2.
Yeah, you're at 2 because I could have tapped, cast a spell on yeah. And then I was at 1 or 2 as well. I was at 2, I think. Exactly right. And you had a creature on the board, and I needed to be able to block it, or else I was gonna die. And it was this fun little bout of where I play my creature, and like we can't let that happen. So you try to kill it.
Yep.
And I counterspell it, kill it, counterspell, kill it, counterspell, kill it, counterspell, and mine lives. I end up having more counterspells than he has kill spells, and I'm like, that's it. I got this winning, and I make a joke.
Yeah, well, because I was sure I was dead. I was like, I've got nothing. So I mean, I get to draw 1 card on my turn.
Yeah.
Hopefully it saves me, but like I have nothing that's gonna make me win.
Yeah, we make the joke. Oh, I hope it's Sign in Blood, so you have to draw 2 and lose 2, and it'll kill you. And you draw your card, and you're like, it's Sign in Blood. And you start to read it.
Dang it!
Draw 2 cards, or target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. And we're joking at first, then you read it, and you're like,
wait.
Play on me. And I have already tapped out. I've used all my counter spells. I can't do anything about it. And he uses Sign in Blood to kill me.
Very unorthodox, but it was amazing.
Yeah, no, it sucked because then I went onto Magic Arena, or not Arena, MTGO, before Arena was even around. And I played that same deck against your same deck online against a stranger. I died the same way.
You think it was a stranger?
I found you. There's been a couple of times where we've just been playing games where you'll have that card and kill me with it.
So, like 99.999% of the time, anyone in the world has cast Sign in Blood. You target yourself because it's one of the only ways that black can draw cards.
Yeah.
So it's extra funny that it just happened to be.
It count as a burn spell. It's
Most
one of those
of the
things
time, it's
that
cast offensively is against Braden.
Yeah, it's good against for drawing cards against anybody else. The other 8 billion people in the world, the other 25 million players. When playing against me, though, you hold it for a burn spell.
Yep.
Yeah, you hold it to kill me.
It was amazing.
It was no.
Yeah, it was.
But from playing that actually later on when I had to move out of the apartment, we had started becoming friends from it at that point, and I ended up moving into your place for a little while where we played a lot more Magic, a lot other different games, which we'll talk about in the future. And I think through Magic the Gathering, in its essence, is what brought the 2 of us together to become friends that we are now. And now we're here doing this, sitting together, making a video, not wearing pants, touching knees.
Yeah, you can't disprove it.
Right? But I think that's about all the time we have here. Just kind of go over the social aspect of Magic the Gathering, how we met. This is a whole new setup for us, right? So this might be blurry. This might not work. My glasses might annoy you. So if you watch to the end here, please leave a comment down below on how this set looks. If we can do anything to improve it. If you're like, this is cool, but this really bugged me, let us know. And also, if you have any social aspects about Magic the Gathering or any other nerdy topics you want us to talk about, just let us know down below.
Anything nerdy.
Anything whatsoever. We'll figure it out. Nerdy and dirty. But with that, I think I'm going to say goodbye.